Three young women walked into my office and told me about this meeting today and asked me to be here. I doubted that I could make it. I was just new on a job that I needed to spend time and learn so much about. When the day swung around, I had made arrangements for someone to represent me here, but I wasn't comfortable. I just knew that every opportunity to meet with young people, and I'm one of you, by the way, was just an occasion not to miss. If there was anything that we needed during my time at your age, we needed role models who took the time to speak with us and tell us what they were going through and how to surmount. And I guess that's what I'm going to do this afternoon. The Onyeka Onwenu that you hear about or you read about in the papers is a bit different from the real one. The real Onyeka Onwenu is just an ordinary girl from Arondizzo who came from a great family, but who lost her father when she was 4.5, and so was raised by a widow. The Onyeka Onwenu, the real one, is one that is specially made by God Almighty for a purpose, just as you are, just as everybody is. I recognized that quite early, thank God, and so I knew that I was not going to live an ordinary life no matter what. That no matter what was the fact that I didn't have a father, and I had a mother who was struggling to raise not just her immediate family, but her extended family. For some reason, God made it in such a way that I found myself in some of the best schools in the world. I took advantage of that and did my very best. I knew early enough that I had to defer the enjoyment of certain things to stay focused on where I was going. And so sometimes in the United States, I found myself doing 3 jobs over the summer and not going to all the parties that I was supposed to go to. But I made it through school with a master's degree, and I went to work at the United Nations. There, I met people like Kofi Annan, who was head of my department. There were 2 girls from Africa who were outstanding during my time. We were the tour guides at the UN. If you came into the UN, we took you around and told you what the organization was about. It's something you can only do for 2 years, and you had to have a university degree. So the 2 of us, one from Ghana, Diana Ayi, we were quite troublesome because we were so upset with what South Africa was doing, what was going on in South Africa and in the whole Southern African region. So we went to every meeting of the Security Council, and as we took people along on tour, we would talk about the situation in South Africa. And sometimes there were some white South Africans who were ready to beat us up. And so Kofi Annan, in order to deal with our troublesomeness, said, okay, you two, you go to Namibia as electoral officers, because South Africa had agreed to give Namibia independence. But I waited and waited and waited, and South Africa kept reneging. I woke up one day, in fact, it was a challenge thrown at me by a Nigerian who met me somewhere, and I was arguing about how Nigeria was not doing well. And he said to me, he said, you are living in New York, you're working at the United Nations, you take 6 weeks vacation, you're amongst your friends. What exactly are you doing to help Nigeria? You have no right to criticize or complain. Go back there and see what you can do to help your country. You know, we laughed over it, but I always take up a challenge when it's thrown at me. In 3 weeks, I'd made up my mind. I resigned my job, I packed up, and I came back to Nigeria. Well, the rest you know, and if you don't know, your parents know at least. But I discovered that I had this talent, this musical talent. And I knew that it wasn't just to stand on stage, and I thanked my mother for that, because even as a 3-year-old, she would take me to sing and raise money for motherless babies' homes. She would put me up on the table so I could come up to eye level, and we would do duets. So I knew that that career had to be for something good. not just for self-edification. And that's what I've done. At some point along the line, I discovered that entertainment is not just by itself. You can entertain, educate, and inform. And that's precisely what I have done with my music. And so you find us singing about challenging issues. We sing about sex, where people couldn't talk about it. Choices and wait for me. If you love me, you go wait for me. And telling young people that it's okay to defer the enjoyment of sex until the right time. At the time that Yar'Adua and I did that song, people weren't talking about sex. In fact, I worried, because in the song I said that making love is good. I said, my mother is going to come and say, okay, tell me when and how. But she never did. And here we are, that with all the stigmas and all the misconceptions of what we do, because once you're a woman, ladies, you know this, and you get on stage, you must be a prostitute. Because you appear before the public and you can sing and dance. And so we were tagged with that. And it was a struggle to take off that tag and say, no, this is who I am. I am a person of integrity, and I know what I'm doing, and I know where I'm going. But I thank God that with all the battles with the Nigerian press, at some point, begrudgingly, they had to give me my respect. Well, here I am today, an actress, a musician, a mother, a wife, a community worker, a teacher, lesson teacher to my children. They're a bit grown up now, so I don't do so much of that. An advisor. That's what we women do. We do about 20 different jobs all at the same time. But here I am as the Director General of the National Center for Women Development. It was not a position I asked anybody for. I didn't lobby for it. I just kept on doing what I knew best to do. But when the position came, I realized one thing, that I had been prepared for this particular role. Being raised by a widow, being a woman who was not defined by marriage. Many people never even knew that I was married. But I was never defined by marriage. I refused that. But defined by what I do with the grace of God to improve my environment. And that's what I bring to you today, men and women, is that you can be the best. You already have the talent. You have the grace. And I'm not going to stand here and tell you that I'm the one that has done it. It is due to God's grace. You have that grace. It's available to you. You can tap into it. You can stop looking at the next person and wondering why they got to where they got to. But start looking at yourself and discovering the magnificent gifts that God has deposited and the opportunities that have been made available to you. If that opportunity looks small, do not disregard it. Grab onto it. Do the best you can. And then you move on to the next level. That's what I offer you today as how I have lived my life. Not probably the best I could have done, but I'm striving every day to get better at it. So when you step out there and you want to make a future for yourself, you are doing that now. Do it knowing that you perform for an audience of one, God. If nobody sees what you are doing, he does. And at the end of the day, you answer to him. There is something that I cherish very well in my life. I sleep very well at night. As soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm gone. I don't think about anything, because I would have tried to the best of my ability to do what I've been raised to do, and that is to do the right thing. I love this country, Nigeria. It comes out in my songs, and I make no apologies about it. I went through 3 years of the Nigerian Civil War. I was 14, 15, 16 at the time. I know what it was to have babies die in my arms. I know what it was to have an old man take about 5 hours to die. I know what it was to be walking on the street or running and you're being strafed with bullets. I know what it was to have abandoned property, leave your house, leave everything in it, to eat without salt, to go to the farm and grow cassava, and I can make very good gari from beginning to end. I can work in the farm, to sleep on the floor of a mud house and really enjoy it because it's cool. I know all that. But I do not want to experience it again. And it is my prayer that this is it. We say the future of the country belongs to you. The present, you have it. Grab a hold of it. Don't ask or beg for anything. It is yours. Just take it. But it comes with the responsibility of protecting the integrity of this country, the unity of this country, in any and every way that you can. Do it. And God give us the grace, because this is a great nation, because it would be so boring if all of us spoke the same language, wore the same dress, ate the same food. My children are Yoruba. Mind you, they don't speak it, neither do they speak Igbo. I'm working very hard on that one. But that's what it is. And you dare not speak ill of the Yorubas where they're concerned. You dare not speak ill of the Igbos where they're concerned. That is what Nigeria is, merging together and building and developing people like you, outstanding young people, that any part of the world where you see a Nigerian standing, you bow. Why do we put ourselves down? You are the best. We're busy building up other people's countries, being at the topmost level and contributing the most. Let's do that for this country. And finally, pick your sphere of influence. Realize that you have it. We all do. It could be in the marketplace. It could be in the office. That sphere of influence, you are president of that sphere of influence. Do the very best that you can. And if all of us did that in our own little sectors, guess what? Nigeria would really come into its own. The greatness that I know God is determined for this country. It is well with us. Thank you.